All right, guys, welcome back. Let's jump right into round two of my mega mock draft. And we're going to go a little quicker as we go further into the draft because I'm going to have less to say because at a certain point you kind of more start reading positional need more than you do specific player fits. I mean, it can't be helped. I don't follow every team and every college player in the league super closely. I'm just trying to eyeball it from a great distance. So, round two starts with the Jaguars making their third pick of this draft. They've already addressed quarterback and offensive tackle. The question is, do they have a need at wide receiver? Because they have some guys on that team at receiver who I like. I don't know if any one of them is a dominant number one or somebody that is ever going to make like a Pro Bowl or an All Pro team. So that being the case, I'm going to toss them another one here because I really like Elijah Moore and I think he's fallen a little bit further than I would have expected. So I'm going to give them Elijah Moore. All right. Now we have the New York Jets making their third selection as well. They've gotten their quarterback, they've gotten their edge. So now, as for what's left, while it does kind of break my heart to do so, I have to say this might be where Eric Stokes goes if he continues to rise in the last couple of weeks before the draft. I think he's already kind of a upper half of the second round guy. I think he might go as high as number 34 overall, and I'm going to go ahead and give him to the Jets there. All right. Atlanta Falcons, as I said in my previous video or previous mock draft video, they clearly need help on defense, and I'm going to go ahead and give them one of these top remaining linebackers. We have Jamin Davis from Kentucky, Nick Bolton from Missouri, and Zaven Collins from Tulsa. I'm going to go with Jamin Davis, but it could easily just be one of these three. I haven't done a lot of work scouting linebackers, guys. All right, that gets us back to the Miami Dolphins, and who might they take with their third pick in this draft, number 36 overall? I am going to go ahead and say that they should give Tua a little extra support in the form of Javonte Williams. I think they have a need at running back. Even though they do have a couple guys that I kind of like, I think they could use a little bit of help there. All right, Philadelphia Eagles picking number 37 overall. They kind of need all kinds of different stuff. I kind of feel like they should just take best player available. So we have Trevon Moehrig here, who's a first round graded safety who has fallen to the upper part of the second round. Maybe they just take him because why not? So I'm going to go ahead and give them Trevon Moehrig. Good place for him to stop falling. Now we're back to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they too have a lot of different needs. As for which one they're going to attack with this pick, I am going to go ahead and give them an interior offensive lineman. I'm going to say they get one of the two centers. I know they lost BJ Finney, not that he was playing very much for them in the first place because he's BJ Finney. I mean, that's why you're BJ Finney. It's Dickerson or Creed Humphrey. It's really hard to know which of these two is more highly valued from team to team. I'm just going to go with Landon Dickerson, but it could easily be Creed Humphrey. It depends on what skill set they value. All right, now we get back to the Carolina Panthers, who just drafted their QB of the future. Now they need to protect him. I think this might be where Samuel Cosmi comes off the board, so I'm going to go ahead and give them to him. That gets us back to the Broncos. And unfortunately for them, there's not really a QB that makes much sense to take here unless Kellen Mond just rockets up draft boards in the last couple of weeks before the draft. So I am going to go ahead and allow them to address their linebacker need here instead and give them Nick Bolton from Missouri. That gets us to the Lions at number 41 overall. And I am going to go ahead and give them Dylan Radnuns, a guy who I actually really like in this draft, and I think he makes a lot of sense for them. They just acquired a new quarterback in Jared Goff. He's certainly a guy who needs to be protected, so I'm going to give them Dylan Radnuns from North Dakota State. And now we're back on the New York Giants, and I am going to, well, this is kind of tough. This is going to be difficult to read, but I'm going to go ahead and give them Creed Humphrey. I think they need a little bit of help on the interior of their offensive line. I think they could use an infusion of talent there. I like Creed Humphrey well enough for the kind of player that he is, and it feels like a fit. So Creed Humphrey goes to the Giants, and that gets us to the 49ers pick. And they Might go Wyatt Davis here because there's a clear need. They still have a need at cornerback, but I don't know if this is a great place to attack that need at cornerback. I've been scouting the cornerbacks in this draft a lot. I don't think this is a great place to take one. I am going to go ahead and give them Wyatt Davis. It seems to me that attacks a clear need on their team, so I'm going to go ahead with that. All right, now we've got the Dallas Cowboys. Looks like they're going to lose Aldon Smith, and that being the case, this might be where Joe Tryon comes off the board. I saw some mocks months ago that thought Joe Tryon was going to go to the Cowboys in the first, so if they could get him in the second, that's pretty good. So Joe Tryon goes to the Cowboys. All right, now we're back on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have another pretty high high up pick here. And as for what they might do with it, let's take a look here. Let's try to figure this one out. There are a lot of good edge players here. They might get like Gregory Rousseau. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to go with here. He might be undervalued by TDN. He might go a little higher than this, honestly. So I'm going to give them Gregory. And that gets us to the New England Patriots, who are going to use this spot to help their defense a little bit with a linebacker, I'll say. Let's go with Zaven Collins. Again, I haven't scouted the linebackers a lot in this draft, I have to confess. Okay, now we're back on the Los Angeles Chargers, and they're going to go ahead and get Rondell Moore, the wide receiver from Purdue. Very, very talented, just needs to stay healthy. And that gets us to the Oakland Raiders, who, even though they already took an offensive tackle, still need offensive line help. I don't know if it'll be here where they address it. Let's instead give them Baron Browning from Ohio State, a linebacker, because they do want to get better on defense. I think that's a matter of public record. Let's give them Baron Browning. All right, the Arizona Cardinals are up next, and this would be a good opportunity for them to try to replace Patrick Peterson, who they lost. They need to get a little better at the corner spots. So there's Kelvin Joseph. If they feel like he fits his scheme, that makes sense. Asante Samuel's going to be a good nickel in the league. Aaron Robinson's going to be good. Elijah Molden's going to be a good nickel. Let's go with, I'll give them Kelvin Joseph. But it could easily be any of the other ones. And the Dolphins are picking again. Wow, 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 wow. They just keep on coming around, don't they? Very, very good draft for the Dolphins this time around, I think. Would they take another edge player in this draft? I mean, why not, right? Why wouldn't they? They're going to get pretty good value here in Ronnie Perkins. Let's go ahead and give it to them. Why not? All right, now we've got ourselves the football team, and they're going to feel pretty good, I think, about taking Alex Leatherwood. I think Alex Leatherwood has a chance to rise up to the top part of the second round, but let's say for now he goes in the middle to the football team. I think that's a good fit. All right, now we're back on the Chicago Bears, and they probably need ultra good protection for Andy Dalton to thrive in that offense. So I'm going to give them Jalen Mayfield from Michigan, good offensive tackle prospect. All right, Tennessee Titans. Maybe this is where Amari Rodgers goes, but I think it's going to be De'Ami Brown. They need somebody across from A.J. Brown. Why not get another Brown? Should work out pretty well for them, so I'm going to give them De'Ami. And that gets us to the Indianapolis Colts. And they also could be a place that goes for Amari Rodgers, but again, I just don't see him being that kind of player. I don't see him being a second-round pick. I'm just not there yet with him. I like him, but I don't think he's going to be a second-round pick. So with that being the case, let's take a look here and say, what about Brady Christensen? Could he be a second-round pick? I think I'm going to go ahead and say yes on that for now. Go ahead and send him over to Indianapolis. That brings us to Pittsburgh. And what could they use this pick on? They did just lose Bud Dupree. Maybe they try to replace him with Joseph Asai from Texas. And that gets us to the Seattle Seahawks. And what could they do at this pick? A lot of the players that I like are now off the board. So that being the case, let's take a look here. Who do I like? And unlike some of the other picks I've made, I actually know quite a bit about some of the players that we could take here because I've done a lot of scouting. I am going to go with, and according to according to TDN, this is a little bit of a reach, but I'm cool with it because I really like this player. I want Ifeatu Melifonwu from Syracuse. He's a super Pete Carroll type of defensive back. He's going to be great in this system. I feel very good about him. There are a lot of corners I like, but I'm going to go ahead and go with this one. I think the value is going to be pretty good there. All right, next up we have the LA Rams. They're picking again, and this is their first pick in this draft. How are they going to use it? What do they need? They need offensive line help first and foremost. They need to replace Gerald Everett. So, second tight end off the board. Could it be Brevin Jordan? I'm going to go with Brevin Jordan, who is a guy who I wouldn't mind the Seahawks taking, honestly, if they decide not to go cornerback. Okay, Baltimore Ravens are up next. They need help at receiver. Could it be Amari Rogers' time? Could he go a little earlier than I thought? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Nico Collins goes higher than him. I think Nico's potential is going to boost him up in this draft. I think you're going to see Nico Collins go to the Ravens, 58 overall. All right, now we get to the Cleveland Browns. What might they do with their 59th overall pick? Could they get an interior defensive lineman, beef up their run defense a little bit? Let's go with it. Let's say they do that. That gets us to the Saints. Could they go Asante Samuel Jr. or Aaron Robinson? Aaron Robinson, I mean, they do now have to worry about Marcus Lattimore getting in some legal trouble. So that being the case, I'm going to give them Aaron Robinson. All right. That gets us back to the Buffalo Bills. Let's say Asante Samuel Jr. comes off the board here. I think that's a pretty good spot for him. All right, now we get to the Green Bay Packers. Once again, they need help on the offensive line. Can we find any for them here? Could they be the team that ends up taking Quinn Meinerz? Again, my thoughts on Quinn Meinerz have been voiced. I think he's a meme, so I'm going to skip him for now, and I'm going to go with Josh Myers of Ohio State. He should be a pretty good fit for them at center because they need a replacement. All right, now we're on the Kansas City Chiefs, and let's take a look at some of the receivers here. Could they get Amon-Ra St. Brown? He's not a burner, but he is a good all-around receiver. I'm going to go ahead and give them Amon-Ra St. Brown. It would not surprise me if they ended up getting a receiver who has a little more speed because he fits their offense more, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is a good all-around receiver who should be able to contribute for them. And that gets us to Tampa Bay. What might they do with their pick? What might they do with number 64? This one's kind of tough for me, but I am going to go ahead and give them Tommy Togiai from Ohio State. That's not bad. Carlos Basham Jr. from Wake Forest. That's pretty good too. I'm going to go with Carlos Basham Jr. And that's going to be the end of our second round. Again, at this point, I'm kind of just more so taking shots in the dark at some of these picks because I don't know other teams and other players as well as others, but I've done a little bit of research into this. I have some idea of where I think these guys are going to get valued, and that's my take on round number 2. Round number 3 coming next week. Hope to see you guys there. Again, at this point, I'm probably going to be way off, but we're having fun. That's the point, guys, right? You want to have fun. All right. See you guys later. Peace out. Go Hawks. Round 3 next week.